3, 2, 1. Greetings, fellow adventurers. We are here for another session of Tale of Two Daughters in the Harn world setting, using the magnificent Harn Master rules. And when we last left off, our intrepid heroes were on their way to try to bless an abbey that was abandoned centuries ago, but is the resting place of a long, ancient king who is part of the lineage of the family of Bridget. And they have in their company a priest of Larani and some men-at-arms who will assist with that. But as they are on their way and nearly getting ready to leave the trail and head off into the wilderness, they happen upon what is known as Nanion Bridge, a fairly famous bridge in the kingdom of Kaldor. It's along the Silver Way. Really doesn't belong to any particular lord. It's just kind of out there. And they discovered that there is a large backup of caravan traffic on either side of the bridge. And when they inquired more carefully, one of the caravan masters told them that some arrogant knight has decided to just occupy the bridge and not let anybody cross unless he is bested in a joust. And their worst fears were confirmed when they determined that it was in fact Sir Romlock of Setru who has occupied the bridge and is waiting to be bested before traffic can continue on the bridge. They attempted to implore him with, well, you're impeding commerce and it's causing problems, and he really didn't care. And so they have now regrouped back on the west side of the bridge after trying to entreat with Sir Romlock to decide what to do next. So, we'll take it from there. As I recall, just to finish summarizing, the priest had blessed the swords of the two knights to hopefully assist them in any kind of combat. And from this point here, we'll take it away. I believe that we are up on that map. Is that correct? We are on the Nanion Bridge map? We are. Okay.
Yep.
So,
Did our
you
priest
folks,
bless you?
you folks are right here. And Sir Romlock, of course, is occupying this camp over here. I'm sorry, Bridget, what was that?
I thought Ted's character blessed us as well.
I think that you were talking about, but not sure if it's put into your stats yet. He has a spell that can increase your stats. Did he make the roll to cast it? I don't know if he did.
Let me
I don't think he
check
cast
the
it
chat.
yet. I think the plan was to cast it either during or before.
Okay.
I don't know to what extent he wanted her to know that it was happening.
Fair. Okay. Yes, there is a invocation that he has that can increase some physical attributes of yours, like dexterity or those kinds of things, to make you a little better with whatever attribute uses that stat. So it is now back on you guys. You see Romlock over there. He's actually across the bridge. You see him saddling up his horse and laying out the jousting poles. He seems to think there's a joust about to happen. He has several squires or men-at-arms there. You haven't really figured out who's who, but there's a good 4 or 5 individuals that are with him. As you can see, there's several tents. And they are pouring him some wine, and they are laying out the list field. And we'll say that we've just picked it up after the priest has blessed your swords. And what do you guys go to do next?
The likelihood of getting Bridget a full set of armor at this point in time is minuscule.
0.
Is that correct?
You don't think that mercantile across the river is going to have knightly armor, no?
Yeah, slim to none.
And she was asking, our sizes are totally different, and we can't just adjust them with straps and stuff like that.
You know, you're suiting up right now. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought you're just as prepared to joust as she is.
But she did ask to go first, and I am looking to see what we can do to increase her chance of defense and success. But I can't think of anything.
Yeah,
I could always proposition him to one-on-one skip the whole joust thing.
And what are we going to make
skip-
it? 3
skip
points
to
in a
swords?
joust, or first blood in a fight, or
Until he yields, I guess.
Well, you
I've
guys
got the
haven't.
crowd chanting till the death still, so.
no. Let's not make it quite so extreme. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Bridget doesn't have her full armor. That's the
Yeah.
issue.
if you're willing
Which
to
is-
joust as you are, it is not necessarily the.
You could dare him to dress down to your level of
Ah.
equipment, joust that way.
I think he would.
Or he'll laugh at you. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's worth asking around if there's armor that might fit you that somebody's not using, or, there's sizes for that.
I don't want to drag this out. I just want to do the thing. So whatever.
So Lady Bridget is 5'3" and weighs 127 pounds.
So Sir Aiden can pick me up and hurl me.
Sir Aiden is not an exceptionally stout man. I mean, he is.
I mean, my stuff might fit you. I'm 5'0" and 110.
Yeah, so Sir Aiden is 5'9" and weighs
5'9" and 172.
172 pounds. I mean, he's not an impressively large man. He's competent and skilled and strong, but he's not a monster.
What do you feel like you're missing, Dame Bridget?
Well, I didn't bring.
Probably the most marked thing, if I may just jump in, that you're missing for jousting especially, or for really any kind of combat that is going to happen like this, is you don't have a full face helm.
Mm-mm. That, and I don't know if I brought a shield or not.
Oh, you would brought a shield. Yeah, you would brought a shield. That's a given.
Okay.
It's on the back of that mule over there.
Yeah, I think I'm just wearing a gambeson right now. I don't really think.
Yeah, but you brought that. You brought the other stuff. So you have like a shorter mail hauberk. You have the gambeson. You have the shield, and you have a half helm.
Yeah. Well, I could put all that on and ask him to one-on-one. If he doesn't want a one-on-one, then Sir Aiden can joust him.
It's up to you.
Okay, let's ask Sir Rumlock that I didn't
All right, so you're going to go across to the
bring
bridge.
any jousting gear, so if
All
you
right,
want to do a
well,
one-on-one. Yep.
We'll go over there. Let me grab your tokens. Where did I deposit them last? They're all over the place. I should have prepared that a little bit better. Okay, so who's going across the bridge?
Me.
You, just you?
If
I will
anyone
ride
wants-
with her.
I think we all do.
So Sir Aiden. Okay, so the whole group is going across there. All right.
Pick our muleys, our horses.
Come
have-
back, Muley's dead again, just randomly.
Yep. Dame Bridget, did you name the muleys?
Yes, but I haven't told you guys what their names are yet.
No.
If you name them, that's the kiss of death, you know.
What? Well, I didn't tell you that I named them, so.
Fair. That's fair. All right, you go across the bridge, which he's letting you go back and forth. And you arrive at the. I actually made a map of his camp just for fun, just in case you had other shenanigans in mind. So you arrive at his camp. You came from the bridges over this direction, and you've come up Silver Way, and as you can see from the large map, there's a little trail that leads up into the meadow, makes kind of a wedge of trees. A little trail leads up to the meadow. The Silver Way continues on this way, and there's a little wedge of trees along that southern part of the meadow, and they've kind of set up sort of in the shadow of those trees. They've got a big campfire there. Some of his men are hanging out. There's a man-at-arms near him. He's kind of near his. He has a fancy little curule style chair with a small table next to it. There's a flagon of wine, and he is. I don't know how much Sir Romlock limbers up, but he's limbering up a bit. He's getting ready. He is getting ready to go, and you guys will approach. And he has
Okay.
he is fully armored out, head to toe. He doesn't have his helmet on, obviously, but he has mail mittens and leggings, and his shield is propped up against the tent. His full great helm is sitting there next to his shield, sword strapped to his side. They're arranging the jousting poles right here. That is the situation as you walk into camp. And Sir Romlock, seeing you coming, says,
So Dame Bridget says, "This is completely ridiculous and unknightly. However, I didn't bring any jousting gear because I wasn't reasonably expecting a jousting tournament on the other side of this bridge. So how about we just one-on-one this and get it over with?"
Look to see if Bridget nods at me.
I fold my arms and roll my eyes, and then I nod.
Yes, I will joust with thee.
okay, well, we've done a joust before, so let's do it again.
Devin, quick question. Is Faradir of Cleve, our priest, with us on this side of the bridge? Is he watching?
I imagine he came across with you.
Okay.
I imagine he came across with you, sure. I could add him in a second. I just didn't have his token.
That's fine. I'm just trying to decide if I want to talk to him about this.
Yeah, he's present, sure.
I guess he's on our side and he agrees this is bad Loranian behavior, but Romlock doesn't care, right?
Yes. Especially since he is kind of, while he is a religious figure, he is very close to the Earl, and as Bridget had pointed out earlier, this is commerce that is being impeded going in both directions. And one thing that the Earl is very into, more than anything else, really, is trade. That is his primary focus.
Right.
So, but he says, well, it is. I mean, it's certainly unseemly, but it is within some realm of the laws of chivalry to stake out and demand satisfaction like this. It's not. This bridge is known for it. It doesn't happen often. Last I heard, it happened was about. Oh, the story was 3 years ago. Some knight had stationed himself here and challenged a cousin smith who's on his way to Gardiran, and of course the smith didn't have a horse. They never. They're not mounted. But proceeded to produce his warhammer and smote the knight soundly with one blow and went on his way, as the story goes. We'll see if we have the similar fortune in this circumstance. That was 3 years ago, I believe, roughly the same time of year. I haven't heard of another knight positioning himself like Romlock here has, but it is not is not unheard of. All right. So you guys mount up your horses. Um, so Dave, you can go over there and praise the jousting poles. There's a good number of them. You can pick one out just to make sure there's not one. They're not handing you one that's faulty or broken or messed up in some fashion.
I don't need an awareness for this. It's just
Yeah, you don't really. There are none that are broken, so
okay.
you can see that they are actually legitimately fair jousting poles that he has prepared. You
We
normally I'd
don't
say
need
pick up.
initiative.
Okay, so you mount your horses up.
So
Does Emrys cast that spell upon you? That's the fair question. So looking at your attributes, the one that is most used for jousting is, I believe it uses the polearm skill, doesn't it? Yes. So strength, dex. So you'd want to be stronger in order to joust.
yeah, but he's not here to state what he does. So
I think he intended to. So I'm not gonna
all right, well then give him a roll.
punish you guys for not having the character here. Believe. All right, he's not the best at it. I'm not gonna give him anything other than just a straight roll on it. So he comes up to you, does a weird invocation, a language that you barely understand, and he will. Well, I'm not sure if you know it's successful or not, but it is not successful. So you're going as is.
And I'm going to keep an eye on the Romlock's men at arms. It looks like he has a forester and maybe a hunter there.
I just
make sure they're.
I pulled random guys. They're armed with either short swords and round shields or spears.
Okay.
They look
That's
like
fine.
castle guard types.
That's fine. I mean, I don't want them to pull something, so I'm keeping an eye on them.
Well, nobody's giving them him a blessing, so that I suppose is a blessing unto itself.
Right.
All right. So the joust sequence is you make
Riding, lance.
Yep, riding and then lance, and then we hit the joust combat table. So it is a steed command check to start. Let me get Romlock's character up here. You've got him out? Okay, go for it. Marginal failure. That is not a terrible result. It just gives you, I believe, a -10 on your joust roll. So it's on your attack modify. So you do your. Okay, so that's marginal success that doesn't have any extra benefit. So you'll be a -10 where that window comes up, Dave, for your joust roll.
For the lance.
For your lance. Let me make sure. Well, look at your character, make sure you got all the right boxes checked before you hit anything. Sir Aiden, make sure that you've got. Okay, you are mounted, so we got to click that. That's going to change your physical penalty. I did that for you. Okay, you're good to go. Is Romlock mounted? All right, good. All right, marginal failure.
God.
Oof.
Wait, that penalty is.
No, that penalty is physical encumbrance and all that stuff. Oh, but it's still as if he were unmounted. But the. Ooh. Oh.
Ouch. All right, well, that's going to leave a mark.
Yep.
So,
well, that's Romlock's initiative.
There's no initiative for this roll, for this sequence.
Yeah,
There's
we
not.
both ride at each other. There was none.
Yeah, you're just riding each other. You both hit at the same time. So just roll right. Could be aiming high. What a dick. All right, go ahead.
Shield is high.
All right, so -10.
Did he do his ride check? That's right.
Okay, so marginal success versus marginal failure. You will be a D plus 2 or D times 2. So roll for location. Go through the sequence, Marcus. You know how to do it. Find out where we hit. Yep, jousting poles are 3 plus 2d6. So you ride at each other. 3 plus 7 is 10. However, he's wearing a full helm, so that probably more or less just glances off. So Sir
Uh,
Aidan is wearing a
I'm looking now.
he has a 13.
Yeah.
He has a
Yeah.
13 armor, so it just
Couple of stars, but he's
yeah,
okay.
it just his weapon breaks. Kapow!
So
So
I have to roll weapon break.
no, you don't because you missed.
Oh.
Yeah, you missed getting a full shot on him, so he shivers his lance on your helmet. But your helmet, it kind of glances off, and your helmet takes most of the impact. The only thing you have to really fear is getting a shot to the eye holes in this case,
Yeah.
which would definitely be a problem. Um,
Do I have? Does the shot make me reroll riding?
I don't believe that it does because it didn't do enough damage to cause you to make a saddle check.
Comment. I see how thou art playing, sir.
All right. So that Romlock, you heard that.
I ride to the other side and ready for another run.
Okay.
Yeah, he hit me in the face. Any confident person should not be doing that. Yeah, but you don't roll the shield for defense. You hold the shield steady because you're supposed to be aiming for the shield. Is that not correct?
Sir Aiden's not the most observant, but he noticed that he got hit in the face.
Yes.
Oh, he hit him in the face. Yeah, he hit him in the face because the shield is stationary. The shield doesn't move.
I mean, it's Romlock's call, right? And he's just, oh, I slipped. You know,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
you lower the lance as you're approaching, and if you don't lower it fast enough, it hits the guy in the head instead of the shield.
These things happen.
Can I modify and actually use my shield if I'm aware that he's not going to get his lance down in time? Is there some modification I can make, being aware that he might be trying to hit high? I'm a seasoned jouster.
Sure. If you want to try to, well, first off, being hit in the head is probably one of the best places to get hit because you are wearing a big fat helmet.
I'm not arguing that with you. But that's also, if he does enough damage, it's the most lethal spot to get hit in.
Well, that's true. You can try to hunker down lower and give the attacker another -10. But it will give you and it gives you a +20 on your unhorsing roll. But it does give you a actually it doesn't
Penalty to hit.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you can try to avoid unhorsing. I'm trying to find one that gives you a opponent. Yeah, so you can try to deflect. That will give you a -10 on his attack, but it will give you a -20 on your attack. It will also give you a -20 on your unhorsing roll if you're going to be unhorsed.
All right, well, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt this time, but if he hits high again, obviously I'm going to try something.
Gotcha.
Let's run another run.
Okay. Make your steed initiation checks. Both are successes, so there's no penalty or bonus other than any ones that are due to aiming. Are you going to aim just center?
I'm
success?
doing the normal thing, yes.
You got it. It was a 1. Both hit. More success, both hit ×2. So Okay. Roll a
And
weapon quality check for your lance.
yeah, I'm looking for that. Jousting lance. That's the
Right, and then
72.
roll the furthest one to the left. That's the weapon quality check. All right. Yep, he got it. And it also shippers. So both break. Roll for damage and locations, please. Oh, okay. In case it misses the shield, you still have to make the check. So if it hits the body, torso, shoulders, it's going to hit the shield. But if it hits like a hip or something, yeah.
So target location is medium.
Even centered, it may still hit him in the head. So
Impact value is what?
3.
Number of dice is 1.
2.
And this is a point.
Blunt.
Blunt.
Look who's aiming high this time. That might hurt. You're hitting the hip again. He slips under your.
It's honorable, Sir Aiden.
Left hip. It is
Certainly your left.
It is your little pointy.
That's the far side.
No, it's the near side because you're coming across your body when you lower the lance.
Oh, that's right. I'm not a jouster.
Yeah. So if you go, so you're coming across your body. To go right on right is brutal. That's German style jousting actually. So, ouch, man, that's a square hit on the hip there, isn't it? Once again, Sir Aiden, you get a real zinger. What's your armor value on your hip though?
Looking hip. It is.
It might be protected by the saddle.
Blunt on the hip with my mail and quilt.
Yep.
Is 7.
7. All right. So you take a pretty good zinger there. We counted blows to the hip last time, so we're going to stay with that.
7.
7. Well, so 11.
Oh.
12 minus 7, so 5.
Oh, 15. All right.
Oh wow. Yeah. So what does Romlock have on his neck? Because that's where he got hit. Are you counting the helm for that? I guess the helm does count. That's right.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
The helm comes down really low. So okay. So you have to make a steed riding check. Straiden.
All right.
Ooh.
And to the rest of us, it looks like Aiden aimed high this time after Romlock did.
S2 to the hip, and Sir Aiden, I believe, is unhorsed and comes crashing to the ground as he slips that lance under his, basically kind of under the point of his shield, because a jousting shield isn't very big. It's not a big kite shield; it's a little heater shield, and it the point slips underneath the curve of the shield, catches you square in the hip, and you kind of twist and rotate out of the saddle and come crashing to the ground. And that is a loss.
Does the strength affect my riding skill?
Sir Emrys did not cast that spell on you, so.
Oh, that's right. It failed. Never mind. Da-da-da. So, all right.
Does Romlock have anything to say? So you're going to add an S2 wound to your profile, Sir Aiden. So that gives you another -10 because combat in Harn is a death spiral.
Hip. Severity level S. Level 2.
Level 2.
What's HR?
We'll roll that. We'll roll with that after you get treatment.
Okay.
You haven't.
Yeah, I'll unpack my physician kit and go to the river and get some cool water.
Bridget is glaring. Just feel.
Oh, that's gonna take a while.
What can I do? I can throw ice water on it. Oh shit, that helps not at all immediately.
It might bring it down a level.
Oh. All right. Well, I'll do one more pass, and he's gonna kick my ass, I'm sure, but I may get lucky on my rolls.
All right, so you're gonna do it now, or
so that is fair, Sir Romlock. I will consult my healer, and we will make another pass. Yeah, he's a dick. I'm sorry, was that out loud? Go consult whoever it is.
Yeah, that's
Do something about my hip.
that's a little happen. I can roll physician. I don't have anything that helps immediately, unless. But Zerson can assist me, and maybe he's got a trick up.
well, Faradir Cleave approaches as well. I mean, this is a joust of honor, and I don't see a reason why I cannot assist you in this moment. And he puts his hand out over the wound. Oh, that is a nasty bruise, isn't it?
Ow!
And he does utters a prayer to Saint Pereline and says, "Oh, Saint Pereline, please see to this wounded warrior's wound, so that he may return to combat."
That's my luck.
And kind of shrugs and says, "Well, can't win them all."
You know what? No. This is ridiculous, and we're not going to entertain this a second further.
So you guys are
Bridget, I've already said I would do another pass.
No, I'm going to go talk to him.
No.
You can go talk to him, but I'm still doing my physician, whether we're doing this or not.
I'm going to go talk to him. This is stupid.
Lady Bridget, please let me finish my pass.
I'm ignoring you.
All right, so that'll heal fast.
So HR's 5?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, but still, that's 10 days before it's...
Unless other magics are thrown on it, but yes.
I'm going to go talk to Sir Romlock.
So you guys are down over here,
God.
kind of regrouping, and she goes storming towards Sir Romlock, who's back again at his curul chair and is sipping some chilled wine.
I'm not going to let her storm alone. I'm going to go over there.
You're being treated right now. So she's doing this while you're being treated.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you are right now.
Get over here, Aiden.
Your trousers down right now, being treated by the boys.
Ted can go with her.
I can do things.
Stay a few steps behind, but kind of meander behind her, just in case something weird happens.
So, sir, he is seated. He's lounging. And,
go get him, Dame of Heir of Neff.
And sipping wine. If you imagine Lands Connect Camp, it's much like that. You're up, Bridget. You stormed up here.
Okay, I didn't know if you saw me yet. I'll be like, Sir Romlock, we're not going to entertain this a second further.
Sure.
This ridiculous joust. We have a very sensitive mission, and I need him to be healthy and strong. So please abandon this ridiculous charade, and you and I can have a one-on-one joust days from now, but not today.
I'll tell you what. Do you want me to give her a persuade roll just to see if that? I mean, just to see if that.
Do you want me to roll that?
Do you want to throw anything else out there, like my father?
Yeah, I'm like, obviously, This is not good for relations between holds. It's completely ridiculous. We have more important things to worry about. But if this is the only thing that you pursue in your knightly ways, I can give you what you want. Just not right now.
Yeah, point of order. The Baron of Setru is a vassal to the Earl of Neff.
Exactly. That's
like,
and you would know that. Like, that's a point. Like, you are now.
He is on thin ice, actually, Romlock. If you really push him on it.
Yeah. So I say all that.
How much? Yeah. How much? Setru is a. I've done a lot of research between the relationship between Setru and the Earl, and it is a weird one to begin with because Setru is actually probably closer to the. Anyway, I don't want to get into that, but his loyalties are somewhat mixed, and Romlock probably feels sort of the same way. If you want to make a rhetoric roll,
okay, yeah,
52 in it, you're not bad. So I'll give you a 52 in it, and we'll just see what the success level is and how much we feel that changes things. Such a marginal success. -5.
Fine. But this isn't over between us. You will. Yeah, I'm sure. She walks out.
You mean storms out?
Yeah. Walks out with a purpose. So Bridget goes to Aiden, and who's healing him?
They were working on.
Yeah, that's me.
They're treating him, and also the priest was kind of doing some prayers and stuff.
Okay, so I walk up to them, and I'm like, the joust is off. He's going to leave. Yeah.
That is, I have already agreed, is my word. I think that is not acceptable.
Sir Aiden, we have way more important things to worry about. I think you should call off this ridiculous, egotistical charade and focus on the more important matters that my father wishes us to.
Another 10 minutes while we flex our muscles and be egotistical is not going to hurt our quest.
Doesn't matter. It's already off. And
yeah, but if you lose a leg, and I'll knuckle into his bruise when I say this. If you lose a leg, Aiden, you won't be any help out there.
I won't lose a leg. He just...
Straight and it's done. We already talked. I don't want to hear any more of this.
What do you have to give him in order to accomplish this?
I'm about to handle that. And she walks away.
So conveniently, your horses are on this side of the bridge. If you want to go ahead and have them stabled here. I know that we don't count coins too much, but grooming a horse and stabling a horse is fairly expensive. They figure if you own a horse and can ride one around, you can afford it. So it is 4 pennies a day to groom your horses and stable them.
Is there like a collection of tall boxes on the bridge somewhere?
What do you mean?
Just like something I can make like a makeshift platform lectern.
And by the way, one of the men-at-arms that Sir Romlock has, he is kind of tagging along as you're walking that direction.
Of course. Someone throw him over the bridge.
So on this side of the bridge, there's some caravan wagons. You could climb up on one of those.
Okay, I'll do that when ready.
All right. There's a collection. Most of your stuff is still, the mules and everything is still on the other side of the bridge. Did you guys bring everything across, or is some of your stuff still on the other side?
Depends who's asking.
I would assume we led both the mules and all of our stuff over.
Okay. Well, you have to go across the bridge anyway. So.
Right. But
okay.
It's what we stable or leave at the inn here versus.
I imagine it's just the war horses. Those are the only two horses that you guys are. Well, and so the priest also has one.
Yeah, but we'll need to reshuffle packs, right? They have had stuff in their war horses, and they're going to want to bring it with.
Yeah. So. You brought it. I mean, you anticipated leaving the war horses here, so you have enough mules for the job.
Right.
All right.
But for convenience, their own personal effects would have been in saddlebags.
The priest is of the mind of, well, I would have liked to have seen another run, but I understand that we have more pressing matters to do. So it may be a great indignity what is being asked of you, Lady Bridget, but I believe it's probably the right call at this time.
What? She hasn't really told us what's being asked of her.
You're about to hear.
I think
he tagged along. He did tag along. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm frustrated by being denied it, but you are my lord's daughter.
Did I get to climb on the caravan yet?
Yes, you are atop one of the wagons.
Attention, bridge occupant, traders, travelers, and everything in between. And this is an extremely sarcastic tone. Sir Romlock is the greatest, most chivalrous knight that ever existed.
What?
Ever. And he has bested my teacher and trusted knight, Sir Aiden of Asdef. So, with that said, you guys may begin to travel, trade, and do any business on both sides of the bridge. Thank you, and have a good day. And jump off.
And the man-at-arms says, the other side, my lady.
Oh, for the love of God.
I will say something just as she's getting out of earshot.
So are you trying to sell sarcasm and all that?
Very subtly.
Very subtly.
I'll do another oratory or rhetoric roll just to make sure.
I will say something along the lines of the honorable don't lie.
The oratory would be the trying to make a speech.
Let me roll that. Hopefully. Hanging around.
You're not super good at it, but you're working on your skills, so it has a chance of going up when the session.
Yeah, I'm young. I'm learning.
That's right. You try to sell the sarcasm. Why is there a -5 in there? I don't know where the -5's coming in.
The 5?
Yeah, you have a -5. Oh, you have a wound that's gone.
What? Oh, to my mouth?
No, to your elbow. That's.
Oh, why would the hurt elbow affect my public speaking?
Really shouldn't. There we are. I took it off, but it didn't. Okay. It wouldn't have made a difference. It would have been.
Okay.
You roll 39, so no big deal. Okay. Yes. So the man-at-arms says, "On the other side, my lady."
Okay, and I do it again on the other side.
Fair. You want to try selling your oratory this time? I'll give you a +10 because you had a chance to rehearse it.
I'm good.
Okay. With all that being done, you stable the horses, and like I said, you guys have money. You're important, noble people. You have wealth. I'm not going to make you count every penny. That's sort of an advantage of this kind of game, is that's not a penny counting game. Although if you guys find yourselves, in the wilderness or out someplace for weeks, it might be an issue. But right now, we're not going to worry about it too much. You pay the ostler there handsomely to cover probably 3 days at least. and he's not going to quibble with you. You got swords and important looking shields, so he is glad to take your money to stable 3 horses at 4 pennies each. That's a fair amount of money to go in hand right there. That's what, 36 coins. All right, Sir Aiden.
Yes.
Are you guys ready to go back? So you're going back to the other side, and already they're not really breaking camp here because it's late in the day. I figure they'll probably stay another night, but they're beginning to put away the jousting poles, and Sir Rumlock is getting out of armor. It looks like he's kind of dressing down. He's stepping down from his duties, and as good as his word, I mean, no, he's not stopping these caravan masters as they hitch their horses back to their wagons and start putting the baggage back on their shoulders. And most of them may only just get across the river before he changes his mind and then camp the night on the other side. But they're at least trying to get across the river before something happens. It is getting kind of late in the day, so they're probably not going to go very far, if anything. Bit of a traffic jam in the middle of the bridge as both sides try to get across at the same time, and the caravan masters and guards here at the bridge have to sort it out. But traffic does seem to be moving, although still significantly delayed. You stable your horses. You manage to muscle your way through the caravans going across the bridge, and you are now on the other side. And Aiden, you've got a bit of a wound. I want you to go ahead and adjust your armor values as you dress down out of, I assume, the jousting rig into a more common traveler's rig.
Doing it.
Okay. And what do you guys wish to do next? It is kind of late in the day. Do you wish to get some headway and just get down the trail right now, or do you wish to stay another night here?
I think we want to make sure Romlock leaves.
That would be camping here the night then, just sure he doesn't lose his mind.
All right. I mean, there is an inn here, more like a hostel than an inn. Currently occupied by 2 Lorrainian knights from the Order of the Lady of Paladins, who got their asses whooped by Romlock a couple days ago. You can stay there, or you can camp. Either way.
So, quick question. The Bernini and the Gambesson are the same. I've mounted riding. I'd probably only be using the quilted Gambesson.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll take the Bernini off too. They're the same chess piece. Got it.
Okay, well, let me take a look. So you'd wear a Gambesson, and you'd wear the Bernini over the Gambesson.
Okay. While riding.
And that will give you the quilt plus mail combination.
Yep.
Okay.
I see that.
Yeah. You do a lot of layered armor in the Harnmaster system. If you're going super light, you could just wear the Gambesson. But if you're going a bit more armored, then you'd wear the mail Bernini, which is a sort of shorter mail shirt. It's short sleeved, and it doesn't quite go. It covers the hips, but not the thighs. It covers like down to like the very top of the thigh.
Thanks.
All right, Hafen, you're kind of the leader here as far as these kinds of decisions go. What do you've heard Bridget's input? You've got maybe 2 or 3 hours of daylight before you'd have to start making camp. Do you want to get up the trail, or did you guys wish to make sure that Romlock vacates the next day?
Well, you know how I feel.
In the interest of the common folk here, let's stick around and make sure he follows through his word.
Okay.
You know. Plus, I do want to, I don't know, talk to the folks as they watch by. You know, was anything else going on? If Silver Way seems, I guess they're not coming from Azadmir yet. They'd be just coming up from Narcissus.
You don't see any merchants from Azadmir.
Yeah.
You don't see any Kustal. So they're just coming from other major cities that, as you said, you've got Minarsas and Pendeth, and a lot of some still major holdings that are that are on the eastern part of Kaldor. In fact, even people coming from depending on how they wanted to go, even people coming up the Jenin Trail might avoid Tashel and stay on the east side. So
I'll still talk to Rome, see if there's any news or anything going on. Peasantry, serf realm things. But I am going to talk up. Oh, Romlock, such a jerk. It's a good thing that Kuro had somebody here to untangle this mess.
Spread a little bit of
yeah, especially with merchants that seem like propaganda. They're. Mm-hmm. Yeah, merchants that seem like they actually might have coin enough to make decisions that matter.
Okay. Well, as kind of suspected, most people, given the lateness of the day and trying to stay away from, they're not going to want to camp in the middle of the woods. So they're going to trade sides, make sure that they got across the bridge, and that can't be undone. That's mostly what happens. So there's a fairly merry camp on either side of the river now that you can join and share some beers with and hang out. So you have plenty of chances to gossip, but there's not much news to convey at this point.
No, I really didn't expect anything. Yeah, and if I'm counting right, it's probably 2.5 days to get there. So yeah, we might as well not stress the. It's not that hilly. Okay, maybe 2 days.
We'll go ahead and fast forward to the next day then. And sure enough, Rumlock is. You see he's not in a big hurry. If you guys want to wait around for all of it, you can. But you see him eventually get up the next morning and pulls his chair away from the tents and sits down in it as his men start taking the tents down. And there's they pull one of the wagons apparently belongs to his retinue, and they're beginning to load tent poles and stuff onto the wagon. So they are breaking camp over there. If you actually want to see him leave, you might wait till midday for that to happen. But they are beginning to break the camp down.
We don't need to wait.
Okay. Hafen, as far as you could tell, this trail on this side where you guys are right here, probably doesn't stay that strong, but it is the direction you want to go. You want to follow the river, as you were told. You'll go through an old village. You're going to go through an old battle site. It's the Battle of Noneth in 180, which is back to the time when we're talking about King Calsten. You'll go through an old manor house and then continue some distance until you hit a possible Telda village and then cut north along a stream. And that's kind of your understanding of things.
Yeah, let's get going. We've wasted enough time on
shenanigans.
on this jerk.
All right. I'm trying to get a pace that you guys can keep. Movement rates. You guys, it's relatively flat. You are on a trail. You're on foot.
Oh, good.
You can move leagues per watch. You can move 5 leagues per watch. So that's actually a hex.
Yeah, that's pretty faster than I expected. I wasn't sure this would qualify as a trail for very long.
It's going to qualify as a trail. So you guys are moving at a moving at a decent clip. So a watch is 6 hours. So is it 6 hours or 4 hours? It's a 4-hour watch, right?
Yes, 4-hour watch.
4 hour.
Two moving watches a day.
Okay. So you guys hit that old battlefield and village that's at this point ruined. In roughly, it's a light woodland along the river here. It's not fairly open. It's pleasant. There's some hills to the north of you, but where you were going through now is pretty flat along the river. The trail is decent for a distance, but then starts to peter out after a certain amount of time. But still, there's a bit of a trace. Probably tell to occasionally come into the village to the mercantilers here to trade, and that's kept it relatively strong. So about 2 hours up the trail, you reach the overgrown, and it's just foundations and a few walls, maybe a still standing chimney here and there. But the forest has largely reclaimed what was once a manor of some sort. And the trail starts to kind of pick up some strength as you pass through there. And at about lunchtime, you cross a small stream where that manor was, and there's a ruined mill along that stream. The stream is emerging from a couple of pretty decently sized hills that are to the north of you. They probably have names, you just don't know the names. But two distinct peaks to the north that the stream feeds down from. And at roughly lunchtime, about midday, you hit another stream. Still walking northeast along the Neffen. And you probably have a brief respite there. And then walk for another 45 minutes and reach a very small Telda village. Hafen, go ahead and make an awareness check as you guys are getting closer to the village.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Roughly, you after you break for lunch and continue on the way, you notice that you are being watched. You can see deeper in the forest that there are some very fine woodmen who are attempting to stay quiet and not be noticed. And you, however, barely discern that they are out there. So you're being shadowed essentially by people deeper into the forest.
Okay, and I can't tell whether they're by woodsmen. You just mean people in the forest. You don't mean timber rights.
Yeah, people with good wood skill. Woodsman as in somebody who is good in the woods.
I'm going to find a hollow tree.
Okay.
And cut down a chunk of it.
All right. You're going through the whole gamut here. Okay.
Yeah, the whole gamut. We're going to lash it up, hang it from another tree. We got mules and knights and strong people for this, and then I'll pound out some Telda.
All right, so you guys see this.
Notice. Hey. I'm Happen from the north, and we're sporting some Loranian.
I want the characters
to sacred
kind of jump in
as night people, or civilized people with a sacred duty to visit graves.
Well, let's do this. Let's break it down a little bit more carefully because you're doing like really weird stuff now. Like you just say, well, we must stop, and everybody stops.
Did I lose you guys?
He can't hear us.
You dropped out for a second. I'm good.
Okay. Let's go ahead and bring it down a little bit more slowly because what you're doing is very strange to the PCs. I already hear Bridget going, "What is he doing?" So I'll kind of narrate it. Suddenly, Hafen just stops and says, "We need a moment here," and you start looking around. Make a timbercraft roll. Get to use that finally.
Oh boy!
Yeah, wow! Look at that. You find a perfect tree.
Perfect.
You find this snag that's standing. It's been hollowed out, and the inside it is just the right tree for the job.
Wait, do I even need to cut it down? Could I just hammer out on this one?
You probably just push that one over, or hammer it out on the tree itself. Yeah, okay, sure. It's a great tree for the job. You don't even need to take it down. He searches around for a few minutes and finds
that one over there.
That one over there finds a tree, and he knocks on it a couple times with his fist, and he starts looking around for like a good solid stick or a hammer or something like that.
I've got my flail staff.
You got your flail stuff? Okay. So he's doing something, Bridget. You can interject at any moment.
Can you give me a quick name of a Loranian god or goddess?
Larni?
Yeah, sorry. What in Larni's name are you doing, Happen?
I'm going to talk to the locals.
What?
I'm gonna let the Tilda know that we're here and that we don't mean any trouble.
Okay.
With this tree.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So he spends a few more moments poking around, and I guess you could put a little check mark next to your timbercraft.
Yeah, and I'll probably get situated with my climbing gear so that since I can't hang it, I need purchase to pound on it.
Yeah, and maybe get a little higher above the ground where it's more hollow.
Yeah,
so
I probably have
kind of
my feet on it, and I'm clubbing it.
He kind of gets a strap, like a lumberjack thing, and kind of inches up the tree, like maybe a good 8, 9, 10 feet above the ground. It kind of leans back against the strap and is kind of locked in place and starts beating it like a drum. Like sort of like, I mean, Morse code didn't exist, but something like Morse code. He starts to bang on this tree, and he found a really good resonant tree. It really echoes and makes a nice pop noise when he hits it. And
boom, boom, boom,
he bangs this rhythmic kind of music out, and it echoes through the forest. And then maybe 5 minutes later, in the distance, further upriver, further up the Neffen, you hear a response. And you said you were going to say, "We need no harm. I'm guiding these people. We're here to conduct a religious ceremony."
Right.
And then I'm not going to make anybody roll a persuade in this kind of circumstance, but about 5 minutes later, there's a response that says, it's fairly short, that says, you may pass in peace, or whatever code means that.
Sure. Okay.
And you guys heard that part. You hear this sort of distant response, and you kind of hear it kind of echoing and flowing down the river, which kind of carries the sound better than the forest does. And Half then kind of
send back well, I'll be polite, thank you, Kothwin be with you, whatever that means, and drum speak. Say thanks, and peace be with you. But shimmy down the tree after we go back.
All right, and he comes down with this smug look like, all right, well, it's all taken care of.
Yep, we're good. They'll let us pass.
All that beating on that tree means something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're pretty skilled folk out here. They have a great way to manage. As you could hear, it travels far. They can let their whole tribes know something over the course of a day. It's quite handy.
Very cool.
So that was about pretty much just as soon as you broke camp and crossed a small stream. And then roughly an hour later, you come into you cross another stream, and just on the other side, there's a small Telda village. And they're just going about their business. They're not really, they come, one of them comes forward to greet you, looks like the headman, and greets you in old Teldan, old Geronese. You don't know these people. This is part of the Telda tribe that you don't deal with as often.
Right.
And he looks at you, and you're not a Telda. He says, I expected a Teldan guide. You are not a Telda.
No. Answer back and Telda. I married into the tribe up north, led by, Running Bear. I don't have his name. And I became familiar with their ways over my time. Well, you guys could probably pick up the gist of it because it is just old.
Yeah, especially
Jarny.
yeah. So Zirson can. Anybody who speaks Jaran in any form can pick up a few words here and there. But it's more akin to somebody who speaks Italian now with Latin being spoken around them, or probably not quite as bad as that.
But lived with Running Bear's cousin as my wife. She was Blue Flower, and we I became familiar with your ways there, and as a part of that tribe, I follow the Peace of Colwith as well. Cothwin.
You are, well, you are, you know our ways, and you bring these men through, and you are you bound for the ruin on the lake? He asks.
Yes. I think it's on a small lake. We call it Zanoth.
It is, I know that the bones of the men of Kaldor, um, their ancestors are there, supposedly. We don't interfere with the remains of the dead. We respect them. This ruin is quite decrepit at this point, but still large and impressive. We have a path that goes through it to the lake, because we fish the lake sometimes, but um, we do not go into the buildings and stay and respect them. So you are going to go there and leave our lands afterwards?
Yes. The intent is to maybe stay a day or two to perform a ritual, re-consecrate the bones, and I'll motion to the Loranian priestess to to Ferrodin. This is the holy man to do the ritual, and then we'll be off.
Yeah,
Returning south.
and Ferrodin's got this sort of like look on his face, like, can we just get on our way? Like, why are we talking to these savages? He's not saying that, but you just read it on him that he's just got kind of a bad attitude about dealing.
I'm gonna snap at his face. What are you doing?
He's not saying anything. He just got he just has a bad look on his face, like you can just tell he's got a bad attitude about dealing with this kind of stuff.
Do others notice this about him?
It depends if you're looking at him or not. But you notice it because you looked in his direction when you said his name. So, if you're watching the interplay between Hafen and this headman, then you probably don't. But when he looks over at Faradir, you may notice it at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just
I'll make a point to talk to him.
He just has this sort of just kind of superior look to him. You know what I'm saying? Right. He says, you will not be, you brought food? You brought your own provisions?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We did. Got just mules to carry our provisions, and we won't disturb anything we don't need to.
All right. You know that, usually we prefer that others do not hunt our land.
Mm-hmm. Granted, it's your land.
All right.
The bounty is of yours.
You may pass then. You will not make Zanoth, as you call it, today.
Correct.
But as long as this trail is well traveled, there probably is little to fear upon it. The trail will divide. He points to a trail leaving the village, going to the north along the stream that you just crossed. So as you'll follow that trail to the north, it will divide a fork in the creek, and you will follow the trail to the right, and that will lead you to the ruins.
Okay, thank you. We are pleased to be guests in your lands.
All right. I'm going to assume you don't stay here. He didn't invite you to stay either. So you continue along. Let's see.
I do want to. I'll hang back and talk another minute after get everybody through the village and off.
Okay.
And I'll start to apologize for. Sorry that the holy man is maybe not so holy, but he was, assigned to it. So it's not my place to pick which one comes. And ask if there's been any Gargan activity up, north near the mountain this spring yet.
He says, I have not seen it myself. But some of the tribes to the north, we've heard them call. The village of Kari to the north and Argoff have said that there have been some sign of Gargan, and that they've skirmished with them a little bit in the mountains. It is of concern because they are identified as the Red Orc, who are very dangerous.
It is concerning. All right. Do you have in him?
I'm sorry?
Yeah. No, I do want to ask him. Does he have concern if the civilized people come more often that they might decide to settle at Zanoth? Would it be good to have them protecting and a target for Gargan, or would you think they'd disrupt your lands too much?
We would not. We will take care of ourselves.
Yeah. Okay.
We do not need help from the men of Kaldor to deal with the Gargan.
Yeah, fair. Okay. I got his temperature on that one.
Okay, and you're having this conversation as kind of the group is now moving north along the creek, and you trot up ahead and catch up with them, and you continue. You have about another 3 hours of walking time, which would put you about right on a spot on a map that you guys can't see that I'm looking at. Well, it puts you guys about right there, and you don't see this fork yet at the time that you make camp. There is a branch in the river, but there's not it's not crossing it at some point, so you don't think this is the right place. And you got the impression he's speaking about someplace further up. So we will have you make camp there for the night. I'll go ahead and make a encounter check just to be fun.
Do any folks have questions about that with the Tielda? Even
did you? Well, you didn't talk to him about. You didn't volunteer what he said about the Gargan yet, so I would wait for you to do that.
No, but once we make camp, I should say, hey, keep an eye out. You know, the Tielda's northern tribes have seen red Gargan, vassal Gargan activity. Gargu up north. So they're about. But Dame Bridget, you had a question?
Yeah, more of just like a broader question. Dame Bridget's gonna look at Hafen and go, Hafen, myself and my teacher and most of us here are not really accustomed with your ways and what you know. So we would really appreciate if you were a little bit more transparent about your intents and conversations. I think that would be beneficial for the group.
Okay. I'll try to keep you updated on what I'm about to do.
Because the whole tree thing, I've never seen that before in my entire life.
Yes, that's why you have me along. Tielda, both on this trip and when we head north with Baron of Yeged, right? We'll be going through Tielda territory. Those I know better up north, but this is a good way to let them know who we are, that we're coming through, and that there's no problem. Saves all kinds of headaches and potential for misunderstanding.
Of course, and I speak from a desire to learn. That's all.
Sure. Well, I hope maybe I can teach you it one day. We can talk about
I'll pass on the tree thing, but just would like to know more about it.
He did mention just Gargufasal or red orcs. And I'm not sure if your character would know that there's different kinds of orcs, but
probably not.
So if you want to pick up on that point, it could be an interesting point of order.
Okay. What are red orcs?
They're the second largest species of Gargan, and they're generally independent. They don't mix in their hives with black Gargan or common Gargan. But they're craftier. They mine better. They build better weapons. Not to say it's anything like human or dwarf make, but it's serviceable for their needs. And so they are generally better equipped than other Gargan. Can be quite a threat if they have a force or come down in mass or something of that sort.
Have you seen one before?
I've seen them before. I've seen most kinds of Gargan before.
In the north, it's the white orc are the most common. Fortunately, because they're tend to be even. I don't want to say the word peaceful, but they're a mixed bag. Brown orcs
might
are dangerous.
talk.
Yeah, they may not kill you. Brown orcs are dangerous. Black orcs are incredibly dangerous. Streaked orcs are probably the most dangerous, even though they're the smallest because they use poison weapons. Red orcs are dangerous. Yeah, they're all dangerous actually. But
so could we like throw Muley 4 at them and let them?
No. No throwing Muley.
So when he says they're the tallest of the orcs, he makes a hand motion, I'll assume, like kind of showing how tall they are, and it's like, well, he's only 5 feet tall, so he like makes
something about my shoulder,
about shoulder high to him. Like maybe 4 feet tall, maybe not quite that, but they're fairly Gargu Vassal. They tend to be 4 feet tall, 48 inches. That's a big orc. He makes a motion like right around his shoulder level as how tall they are. So not as big as you guys, but still.
Right. I'll do motion broad shoulders too. I mean, they probably got 6 inches on each side of my shoulder. They're big. They're burly, squat things, but
can they be reasoned with?
Yeah, I knew a guy who tried once.
What happened to him?
Yeah, he died.
So your question goes towards red orcs or to orcs in general, Bridget?
In general.
That's a big depends.
Yeah. It does. I mean, they do have a society and a culture, and they have a language. So you try, but they will stab you in the back and break any deal. Everything is temporary. It's fast, sloppy, and cruel lives.
And you've heard. I'll just say this to you alone, you've heard stories,
and they're not really concerned with planning for the future. It's most of them anyway are just trying to eat meat. I think their main driver, main motivation.
Can you hear us? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm not sure if half it can sometimes. You've heard stories, and you're not sure of the veracity of it. Of some tribes in the north, ones that you're less familiar with, the Yamodi, for example. You've heard stories of the Yamodi having fairly close relationships with the Gargukiani, the White Orcs. You're not. It's kind of come through third hand that they've actually had some kind of negotiations and negotiated hunting grounds. So that group in particular seems to be the most amenable to reasoning with, even though they're very alien and still dangerous. But most other orcs are dangerous, just flat out dangerous. So that's what your character knows, not with any kind of guarantees to the accuracy of that, but that's what he's heard.
Right. I'll share that as if it's a tall tale. I don't know. This is just a legend. Some say you can with the white orcs, but and interesting, right? This is kind of esoteric folklore about Gargan that Zirson or Emerus might know better. But Lothram, the foul wizard Lothram, the foul spawner, created or brought orcs to Harn. That was only 400 years ago.
It was about 600 years ago. About
600 years. Okay, so they're not native. They're not meant to be here, and they're been expanding for the past 600 years since they got loose, quote unquote, after the collapse of his empire and armies. So they're not. We don't really know. I mean, they're not from around here. We don't know where they're from. Yeah, because magics were involved in bringing.
Yeah, they only exist on Harn. Like none of them have been. They're kind of like the plague, right? So to anybody's knowledge, none of them have been nobody's thought to take a boat and transport them to mainland Lithia. So it is a they're only endemic to the island of Harn presently. Anyway, interesting things. Lothram, of course, is a whole other story that you could tell around a campfire at some point if you wanted to, happen, because it's fascinating stuff.
Spooky.
Spooky stories
we're not going to do.
About Lothram and the carnage of Kiraz and his entombment and all that.
Yeah, okay. We're not going to tell ghost stories before going into a abandoned grave.
I appreciate that a lot.
We'll tell that on the way back.
That's smart. I like that.
All right, the night passes without any encounters. I rolled randomly for a tribal encounter, but you guys pretty much already had that. So, the next day you break your camp and continue north along the trail, traveling for about 2 hours, and you hit a place where the river's forking, and just past that fork, the trail crosses the stream and goes kind of to the northwest, or it stays on this side of the stream and travels kind of towards the Sorkins to the northeast. So to the left would be going to the northwest, and to the right would be going to the northeast, more towards the Sorkins. Hafen, which way are you guys going? Can you guys hear me?
I hear you.
Okay.
Stuart might be having an issue. I see he's typing something.
Okay. He is rebooting, but that's fine.
He said, "Go to the right," unless I thought the chief was misleading
I saw
us.
That. So Hafen confidently points to the right, and you continue along the creek there for roughly an hour and a half. Probably getting kind of near lunchtime at this point, if you wish to.
Hello?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
And the creek,
Sorry.
The trail at this point kind of crosses the creek and runs parallel on the other bank. And the creek seems to be picking up a bit of speed at this point. Is kind of winding around a bit more. You're definitely going up a bit in the terrain. The creek is it's not a river, definitely. It's more like a forest creek coming out of the mountains. It's pooling in places and cascading around rocks. You can hear it quite easily. It's very pleasant sounding. The woodland here is mostly a mix of coniferous trees and broadleaf trees. But you can see ahead, really fairly close at hand, probably just about less than 20 miles away, probably 15 miles away. Some of the taller peaks of the Sorkin Mountains are occasionally visible above the trees. One major peak still has snow on it that you can see in the distance. You can occasionally see this peak from Gardiran on a very, very clear day, but you're now coming up on it, and this peak is known by the dwarves of Azadmir as Zuth. And this creek probably is, at least in some small part, being fed down from this higher snowpack that's melting up there. You figure this happen. You're probably pretty close, so you elect to go ahead and press on and take lunch as you get closer to Zanoth. And pretty much as you predicted, about an hour up the trail. So maybe 3 miles. You reach where Zanoth is. And I will grab your characters and I will move them there.
Just a random thing as we're going. I do want to keep an eye out for herbs that I'm collecting.
Okay.
But I don't really need to pick them now. I'm more like mentally mark them to collect on the way back.
I'm going to deposit you right there. Add the priest and stuff when I find them.
And we're pointing out, pointing woodcraft and tracking and things out to Zerson as we go.
Okay, I'll add Faradir as it becomes necessary. For now, I'll just put you guys on the map. So there is the priest, there is a mule, a couple mules, and his 2 men-at-arms. And I will put you where you guys are. You guys are down at the southern end of this map. As you come through the woods, ahead of you, there is a tumbled down ruin of pretty decent size. It was mostly stone block construction, masonry. It looks like the main entrance was over here, but it has largely been abandoned from use by people, as the trail has cut through a break in the wall on the eastern side of it. It looks like the creek that comes out of the lake, and you can see the lake. It's not on this map, but just on the other side of this ruin, a little further past the northern edge of the ruins, there is a large lake that sits in the middle of. I say large. I mean, it's how big is the lake? No, it's probably only maybe a half mile across. There's a modest lake that is nestled down in the forest, with some hills around it. The creek at some point must have jumped its bank and carved a new course because it went through the corner of the ruin and took the walls out pretty severely. Masonry sits in the midst of the water that breaks around it. Looking in the creek, you see a little trout and other fish in there. The water's going to be cool up here as we get into the mountains. So, you guys are at the edge of the map, and this is what you have to deal with.
How careful do we want to be?
Moderately careful.
All right, well, let's just take a few minute pause and listen. Everybody hear if there's anything moving or knocking about behind those.
So Aiden is kind of moving around, trying to look into the ruins.
They're noisy. Stop that. Stop and
Stop.
I'll go the opposite direction.
All right. Well, it'd be you can make perception checks if you wish.
I do want to do that. How many spaces can I move?
We're not in combat, so just
Okay.
move a moderate amount. No more than 10 spaces at a time.
Okay. Let me do a perception check.
No. Listen like this.
He holds
You're
his
listening wrong.
He holds his hand to his ear. Come on, you gotta do the hand to the ear thing.
I put my head to the ground.
You guys don't have my camera on, but I was.
Wait, do I have perception?
Or awareness. So it's
Oh, of course.
Sorry.
No, you do not.
Aiden tripped over a rock.
Wow, that was
Goodness.
Take your fingers out of your ears. Cone your hand. Cone your hand.
I'll tell you what I gotta do for you, Aiden. I will let Faradir Cleave at some point have another look at that wound there.
They put their
See,
heads
this is what
under
happens
water
when
to
I,
eat the fish.
Dude, I really suck at awareness.
All right, so you
Yeah, that helm you've got on your head.
Sir Aiden, I'll let you take 1 injury level off that wound.
Oh.
As
Okay.
Sir.
It's still severe, but it's only a 1.
No, it's now moderate. It's not deathly quiet here. There's birds chirping. There's fish jumping. There's a bit of a breeze blowing. It's a nice spring day.
That's a good sign.
Let's see. Hafen, was a Mars success. Okay. Nothing stands out. Nothing is of particular interest here. From here on the outskirts of it. Faradir says there, over to the left, towering above the ruins, that looks like the main temple grounds. To the right, I see what looks like was probably the barracks or the monastic cells for the brothers that lived here. I think I see a ruined bell tower beyond. It is really quite decrepit and fallen down at this point in time. It was once a magnificent place, I'm told. The entrance to the catacombs is probably going to be within the main temple structure to the left. There might be another entrance through a mausoleum of some sort in the main cemetery grounds. There's no map of this place, so I'm just basing on sort of how we tend to lay these things out over the years.
Thank you, Brother Faradir. Let's just waltz in up the trail.
It was a good 600 years ago, though. It was shortly after the time of Lothram that you were talking of that this place was abandoned. Have to make another perception check.
Serson, are you fishing?
Yep.
You have
Just look over at Zerson, like, what are you doing?
Do you wish to open the skill, Zerson?
These woodsmen are very peculiar. I like them.
From too much time being alone in the woods. We're all a little nutty. So that doesn't look like old, abandoned something. The
fishing is Dex I will, by the way. What are you looking at?
There's red splotches on the map over there. I see in the
from where you
temple.
are right now.
Well,
yeah, that's what I was asking you to make for an awareness. You see,
I made a marginal, so I assume
you see that, right? You see through the trees on the ground some freshly looking bloody spots.
Oh, Jesus.
On the pavers there. You're not sure what it is for this distance.
Hold up, everybody. My immerse is started. Okay, we're all together, except for
Zerson fishing. If you want to open fishing,
get up here, Zerson.
Dex I will.
Dex I will.
SP times 3.
Times 3. I'm actually fairly okay at it.
What's your sun sign again?
Trelly tie.
Okay, no.
But still, it's a 14 times 3, 42. Not bad.
Yeah, give it a go.
I'll take a minute to string my bow.
Okay.
How can you fish in a time like this?
It's free food.
He sees trout.
We're not supposed to hunt on these lands.
They didn't say
He's a hungry going growing boy all the time, I tell you.
Oh my god.
He's always looking for the next one. Oh well, it was a good try.
Wow. And
I was gonna say it's a sign out of Jaws. I catch one and start screaming.
Dude, now's not the time.
I don't know if he has fishing tackle, so we'll figure out fishing later.
He caught his own foot.
He's probably spearing one with a spear or something. Okay.
Oh.
So there's blood on the ground.
Yeah.
Serene is going for it.
They're 8 and slim down.
There's something to contest. I want to see what it is and understand what's going on.
Are you gonna lick it? Don't lick it.
No.
It's ketchup.
Yeah.
Oh my god. We always do this.
What, find trouble?
We always just like, oh, is that a threat? Let's run towards it. That seems like the best thing to do.
That way it doesn't jump you later.
That's right.
You clamber over some of the ruins, Sir Aiden, and go into kind of the foyer of this larger building of the abbey. It was once a Loranian temple, and on the ground there are some bodies. They're small.
Those the Gargan things?
You are asking, or you're asking me, or asking Hafen?
I'm asking it.
Okay, are you asking me, or are you asking out loud, or are you asking me?
Yeah, I ask. Hafen's next to me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are those the Gargan things?
Make an awareness, I guess. They're about the right size. From this distance, it's hard to say. Their skull shape. Well, they're about the right size. Is all I can say from this distance. I mean, until you actually get on top of one and start staring at it, it's gonna be hard to say.
I think so.
Anything else moving in this area that we can see?
No.
Another awareness?
You can roll. You should roll awareness just because it's probably the best protocol. Don't go over the. Stay off. These are like like walls.
I was thinking about climbing them.
Oh, okay. If you want to do that, let me know. This is a different check.
Yeah.
You look around and you don't see or hear anything that seems to be an immediate threat.
Zerson, are you done fishing?
Nothing. How old is this?
It looks pretty bloody and fresh. You know a body when you see one. It doesn't look actually more perhaps. They have no equipment with them. These Gargan don't. They've been stripped. If they're Gargan, you pretty much figure they're Gargan halfing. The skull shape, the size.
Stripped and half butchered, probably.
Well, that's it. They're almost like just skeletonized Gargan, but they're still just got ribbons of flesh on them. Some of their bones appear to even been cracked open.
Does it look like they've been food?
Are you asking that from out there?
Sorry. Is anyone announcing what they're seeing?
I guess they'd be shouting, which Hafen probably would not be prone to do.
You see me pick up some nice stones and start skipping them in the little stream.
Does the blood look pooled and dried, or is it liquid?
It is not. No, it's not liquid. It looks like the blood is more like it was. Some of the blood right here looks like has been there and dried for a while. Any blood around here is more like blood that would have been kind of left as the remains were sort of just dumped there.
So it's reddish and not brownish.
There are parts that are reddish. This is kind of brownish over here.
Okay.
Aiden, let's back up.
Yeah, this has happened within a couple hours or half a day.
Okay, yeah, we'll get together.
Where's Zerson?
He's in the fishing.
By the way, the stairs to the catacombs were located just near where those bodies were.
Oh, those went down. Okay.
Those went down.
Yeah, let's
that's worse.
Get everyone together.
Oh, that's worse.
I go get Zerson.
Right.
I push him on the shoulder. We're like, dude.
I flail into the water. Oh no! Okay.
Shit's going down. You need to get over here.
Just checking over this side too.
I'll catch them up. There's some Gargan bodies over there. They've been butchered or eaten, maybe mostly.
And fairly fresh, I would say.
Yes.
A couple hours to half a day.
A day or two.
What eats Gargan?
Gargan and Ivashu.
Well, Vashu eat everything.
Right.
Oh my.
Maybe. Gargan taste so bad. Not a lot of animals eat them.
Do you?
No, but you smell them sometimes. What's that?
And they taste bad because
because no animals eat them.
Oh.
String up their bodies. Only the insects come.
What do we do?
I mean, if this was a couple days ago or even yesterday, that means the Gargans have come in and out of this area and are watching. So we need to be on a high alert.
I think we pull back and let's do a circle of Zanoth. Then I'll track and see what has come in and out.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. Right?
Okay. Are you going to track? Where are you going to track? Are you going to track where you guys just were? Or are you going to go around the perimeter?
Yeah, I want to kind of basically pull back off the map, go around the perimeter, and maybe come in from the other side.
All right.
Is that doable?
Are you going to?
How many bodies were there?
There were 2 there.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my sword out.
Sorry, Devin. You asked a question.
Who is anybody going with you? Are you going alone, or are you
Oh,
going?
I was hoping we'd all go together.
Oh, all right.
That was my intent.
I
I
wasn't
say
sure.
at a minimum, I'm going with him just to learn this whole tracking thing.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it's gonna be like a little ninja expedition on your own, or whether.
Yeah, with enough Gargan around, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Hafen's done enough crawling on his own before. I wouldn't be surprised, but
All right. You. Okay.
But you guys keep your eyes up. I'm going to keep my eyes down
all
at
right.
the tracks.
All right. I want to look at the tracking skill real quick and just see how often you're supposed to make checks on it.
Every square.
Every square.
Every hex.
I don't
Detect
think
traps. 5 more feet. Detect traps. 5 more feet.
Okay, so basically, when I know that you would have come across a track, we roll to see whether you pick up the track. That's kind of the mechanic of it. So that actually makes perfect sense. You circle around and you are tracking. I guess that keeps you from finding tracks that are, by accident, think you found a track, but that's kind of boring. So we're not going to do that. You circle around, keeping a fairly good distance away, and you find some tracks. Guys there. I'm going to say you guys kept maybe like this kind of distance away. I'm going to show you where I'm talking about. There we are. Make a tracking roll up here. I should have had you do that before I moved you, but that's okay.
Oh,
Oh,
boo.
you're good at it.
Yeah. You rolling a 97 is never going to do
I
it.
don't think you've ever made a good tracking roll.
That's not true. Just half of them have been bad.
You continue around and make another roll. Make another roll. Okay. You roll 16. Okay, so if you've had a penalty on that, you would have succeeded in that one. You see some Gargan track on the trail, which isn't on this map, but it kind of goes up to the river. I'm sorry, up to the lake, and kind of cuts along the lake a little bit. You see some Gargan track going towards the Abbey. It's like they came along the lake from some direction further to the north and east, and they were walking towards the Abbey. But you don't see any tracks leaving by the same path. You don't see tracks cutting across those, heading back to the northeast.
So where do Gargan usually live? Caves? Underground catacombs?
Yeah.
These
Mountains and underground.
Yeah,
they
these
mine.
especially would, yes. The Vyasal definitely are not surface dwellers.
So they could be
Someone had
living
decided
in
this
these
is a great
woods.
place to have a home.
Yeah, if they found this and they were looking for a place, the cellars, old dungeons, and basements would be a great place. They'd think it was a great place.
How many live together at a time?
Hundreds, up to hundreds. But a new colony, if it's just trying to settle, might only have a dozen.
Can you tell how many have passed this way by their tracks?
Marginal success. A marginal success would have you somewhere around a dozen.
Can we handle a dozen?
Well, there's at least 2 less.
A few at a time.
Yeah.
Well, how much of a hurry are we?
I'd rather.
I mean,
one thing occurs to you, Hafen, which is that from your Gargan lore, is that if Gargan were here, they probably would have had a watchman on that, near the stairs in various places, and
Yeah,
you haven't seen that, and that is.
I'm a little worried that they came here and then something has killed them, for disturbing it. I'm worried that the Gargan are actually not the biggest problem.
That was my take too when I started thinking about what eats them.
Yeah, but
don't forget there's a hard stop at 2.
All right.
Yeah. Well, Gargan are nocturnal, and they're going to come out to eat, especially if they're already skinning the failed hunters. That's the other option. So if we can find a good vantage point to keep an eye on the general area and that staircase or the catacombs entry, I think we do that for the night before we go poking around inside the catacombs.
Sounds reasonable.
Is there a high point in these ruins, like structurally?
Up on the walls.
Well, whether it's stable and it would collapse underneath us is actually even if there is.
There is not a roof over. There's not a roof over.
We don't have anybody that would.
There's not a roof
But nothing.
over any of it. The highest point you could probably get up is maybe 10 to 15 feet above the ground.
Like a turret or spire.
Yeah, there's some corners that are still kind of standing of some of the buildings here and there might be.
Hey, here's a quick idea. We could use my tree climbing harness and tack stuff, the mules, to pull over a chimney. That would be loud enough that I think if it is a Gargan colony starting up under there, one of them would come out to look.
Okay, and as you kind of suspected, this walled structure is not the only thing in this area. An abbey like this is akin to a castle or a manor house, so there would be a village supporting it. It's not on this map, and most of it is gone. But there might be a few structures, a chimney, as you suggested, that might still be standing here or there.
No, it'd have to be here in the abbey for it to be loud enough to attract their attention, right?
Well, let's get to a high point and kind of set up shop and talk about what we can do.
A high point?
Yeah, just the highest point in this area.
Like on the ground, or
if there's structurally that we can climb up, that's safe.
But not part of the abbey itself. Not like the main building.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, it could be or could not be, right? You just want a good vantage point to keep better watch. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Well, the corners of the main abbey structure are probably your best, most structurally sound areas, like here or here.
And it gives us a panoptic view of the whole ruins?
Yeah, reasonably.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
But every one of you can't get up there. It's like a person or two can clamber up there.
Mm.
Well, whoever can use Finn and Zirson can use bows and have a better concept of seeing things that are around us than I do. So
yeah, I'm pretty light too. I don't mind climbing up there if it's going to support somebody without collapsing. I think the best bet.
Well, let's go look.
Okay. I'll tell you what. We had a hard 2-hour cutoff, so we are at that. So we'll call it here.